Hi, I'm Kara Pogreba. Welcome to Bright Hope Creations. Today I am creating a simple background for Willa and Jackson from Purple Onion Designs. And I'm going to put them in this little die cut. It'll be a window aperture. So I want them on a little path. So I made sure by putting them in there that they are standing on the path, and I'm making two curved lines with my pencil, and then a horizon. And honestly, that's it. From this point, you can make this as detailed or as simple as you would like. There's not a lot you'll see because the two animals take up most of the space. Now, I don't want to color over my pencil lines because that will kind of seal it in. I won't be able to erase them. So I'm coloring inside the line and then erasing the line and then coloring where that line was. So inside the line and then erasing the line and coloring where that line was. Kind of simple. So I'm using a cool gray, but I actually won't use that on this path. It really doesn't matter. And then for the horizon, I erased that first because I know that's just a straight line going across. I'm going to fill in all of the grass with the G40, and I'm going up and down with my strokes just to keep it evenly blended. And then I am putting in the sky, and here it's a B_0, and I'm making circular motions to keep it blended well. And you can see I'm even kind of going around where I think I might have a couple of clouds, and sometimes these work for me and sometimes they don't, and I just color over them if they're not going to work. I am not going to put any clouds on the other side because Jackson's head is over there. I'm putting in the B000 at the horizon line, and then I will blend that out with the $0. And I'm just going straight up. You can see my markers on the side so that I'm getting wide flicks with that. I'm trying to keep it very blended. Now back to the grass. I'm putting in little marks. You can even see my hand was moving even before I got it onto the paper. But here is where you would not see real blades of grass back there. If you look at that path, it's very, very narrow at the end, so, or up at the horizon. So you know that that's quite far away. And I'm blending back in those G43 marks with the G40 to just keep it pretty dull and in the background. And then I will come back in with the G43 and the G40 and do tip to tip to get some of the markings closer towards the front. But I still keep it pretty much the same, just getting some texture on here, not real blades of grass, because it's not really the point of this, and it's so small. I just don't want to put any major details into this scene. So my bunny Willa is colored in Copics, and that was in E40s for the most part. And Jackson, the bear, was the cool grays for the most part. So I didn't want to use either of those combinations on this path. So I'm using an E21 here and laying out kind of this dirt path. And then I'm also going to use some warm grays. Here I'm using the lightest of it to see where I would want to blend it in with the E21. And I decide I can go a little darker, especially on the back of the path. And I'll get lighter as I come forward, or just put in fewer details as I come forward. So all I'm doing here is I'm moving from one side of the road into the middle of it and the other side of the road into the middle. And at this point, you could do a lot less. You do not have to put in details like this. You could really just give it kind of a from the horizon darker and then lighter towards the front, but not a lot of detail. And that would be just fine. I just enjoy putting in more detail and thought I would show you that. So this is as dark as I go on this path. It's an E23, and I'm really going to define my path more here, so I'm using thinner lines to do that. And this darker color is giving it more depth. It's kind of defining, as I said, the little bits in the road where there's cracks or shadows, so that it's got that detail to it. You can see the bunny and the bear. I have not colored their shirts yet, and they're going to be holding balloons, and I haven't colored those either. I wasn't sure what colors to go with them, so I decided to wait until I had everything else ready, and then that helps determine what color that I would go with on their shirts. I didn't want to go green or blue so that they didn't blend in too much with the background. I think at the end, one has an orange and yellow shirt and one has a red and white striped shirt. So that gives them some contrast to the background there, or it just they show up a little bit more that way. All right, so I'm blending in that E23 with the E21 to get it to be part of the road instead of kind of on top of the road. I don't know if that makes sense, but it just, this type of blending helps to bring it all together, I think. So that's what I'm doing with that. I'm getting a couple other little lines in there. And then with my lightest warm gray, coming in the front and just filling in the rest of the path. It just smooths it out, and then a little bit darker, just a little bit, with the W0 to put in a few more shadows that were blended out. All right, now I cut the aperture out of the front panel and I adhered that, and I'm placing that on the scene where I want it, kind of eyeballing it to make sure that it's not crooked. And then just getting those guys, you can see they're all colored now, and I'm putting in a few shadows under their feet. I could have been more liberal with their shadows. I kind of skimped on that, I think, but just giving the indication that that's where they're standing or walking. And that's just easy to do before you adhere those guys down. So then I'm going to tape them down, and they will have balloons. His balloon is fine just behind his hand, but for Jackson's hand, I needed to cut that because you would see part of his arm behind his hand. That's where he was holding a bubble wand, and I cut that off, but to cut his hand away gave access to where that balloon string could go, and then I can just tuck that in there. So I'm setting them on and putting on these balloons. Now the aperture I used, or the die, is from Lawn Fawn. It's the Shadow Box Card Park add-on, and I just like that shape. I think it's a fun shape for this little scene. So here's the other balloon going on, and I just get that back behind his arm, and this balloon is going behind the bunny. He's walking, so the balloon is kind of floating behind him. Bear is standing, so it's just right there in front of him. And I just kind of move these balloons around quite a bit. So once I get them in place where I want them to go, I'm going to take a little bit of glue and put just a dot of glue behind their arms, or behind their hands where they're holding the balloon. So that way the balloon string will be adhered down and it's not going to go anywhere behind that hand. Here I've got a little glue coming out, so I just clean that up with my scissors. And I'm going to glue down that other hand, and then these guys are all done. I was going to put a sentiment on here, but decided I liked it better without one on front, and I'll put it inside the card. So I hope you enjoyed the card today. I hope you try a little scene. I would love to hear if you do, if you leave a comment in the comment section. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and thanks for coming. Have a great day. Bye.